everyone, welcome back to our latest installment of Eye of the Storm.
Much has happened since we last spoke. These changes are happening from big to small. Without further ado, I'm Caitlyn Oviedo.
And I'm Shailah Ramos.
And this is Eye of the Storm.
The results for the 2024 election are in. Donald J. Trump is the first president since Grover Cleveland to be elected to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. Donald Trump has won a decisive victory, winning for the first time in his 3 elections the popular vote and the Electoral College. Kamala Harris gave her concession speech Wednesday the 6th. This year, maps across the United States shifted to the right, with a Republican winning the presidency, control of Congress, and maintaining control of the House. This will give Donald Trump an enormous power when beginning his time as the 47th president. Donald Trump campaigned on an increase of tariffs, mass deportation, and lowering inflation. Since winning, Donald Trump has also promised a Department of Government Efficiency headed by billionaire Elon Musk. President Joe Biden and VP Harris have committed to a peaceful transfer of power. Mark your calendars for January 20th when Donald Trump and J.D. Vance begin the 47th presidential administration of the United States of America.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, which means the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade is too. On November 28th, the 100th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade takes over Manhattan. This year, the parade will run throughout West 77th Street and Central Park West, and ends at Central Park South and 6th. They have some returning balloons such as the Pillsbury Doughboy, Bluey, SpongeBob, and more. Some performers to look out for are Coco Jones, Idina Menzel, Jennifer Hudson, Kylie Minogue, and more. The parade will start at 8:30 a.m. and ends at noon. You can watch the parade live on NBC and CBS, and it will be streaming on Peacock, Paramount, and Hulu.
Thanksgiving, the holiday about gratitude, is followed by a holiday that couldn't be any more different, Black Friday. Let's take a look about how this corporate-run holiday came to be.
We all know about Black Friday, the crazy sales, the long lines, and the hostile environments. But have you ever wondered how Black Friday came to be? Let's dive into the history of the holiday, if you can even call it one. Most people don't know this, but Black Friday wasn't always Black Friday. What I mean is that it never originated with shopping. The term Black Friday originated way back in 1869 when Jay Gould and Jim Fisk bought up as much gold as they could in order to drive up the price. This led to the gold market crashing and left Wall Street bankrupt. This Friday in September was then known as Black Friday. Another notable time this term came up was in Philadelphia in the 1950s. The police in Philly used the term to describe the chaos that ensued when everyone flocked in to see the big Army-Navy football game, which was held on the Saturday following Thanksgiving. The police had to work long hours ensuring the order and safety of all the citizens. As the years went by, corporations made an effort to reinvent Black Friday into what we know it as today. However, the holiday has seen some controversy. One notable tragedy associated with the day was the death of Jimitai Damore, a 34-year-old Walmart employee working in Valley Stream. He was trampled to death when the sea of customers broke down the doors to enter the store. Unfortunately, there are many instances of people getting injured while shopping. Because of this, some stores have been phasing out the in-person deals for alternatives, such as major sales on Cyber Monday, or having the sales last a week instead of one day. Despite these alternatives, Black Friday still racks up customers worldwide. Last year's Black Friday had customers spend almost $10 billion in the US alone, so it's safe to say businesses won't back down at a chance to make us spend.
As the temperature begins to wind down, New York's annual winter decorations are starting to pop up. Bryant Park already turned festive last month with the opening of their famous Winter Village, where you can enjoy free ice skating, hot chocolate, wonderful food, and even a private igloo experience. Be sure to check it out before it melts away in March next year.
If you happen to be sledding down Fifth Avenue for that perfect gift, you might even see Louis Vuitton's Merry Makeover. The Midtown storefront has been transformed into a 12-story Louis Vuitton chest that lights up at night.
You also can't forget about the famous Rockefeller tree, coming to complete the 5th Avenue Forest on November 16th. Make sure to save the date of December 4th if you want to see the annual tree lighting.
Finally, as the week progresses, more parts of Midtown Manhattan will transform into the winter wonderland we all love so well. One notable landmark that will not be returning is the Saks Fifth Avenue Light Show, because they want the architecture of the building to speak for itself on their 100th anniversary. If you happen to be in the city next month, be on the lookout.
The famous Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France will be reopening this December after spending half a decade closed. The $10.6 million renovation of the historical cathedral has returned the building to much of its former glory. This successful restoration fulfills the promised 2024 reopening of the cathedral that was made by the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. President Macron made this promise in the aftermath of a day-long fire on the roof of the cathedral that shocked the world in April of 2019. The Notre Dame Cathedral will officially return with a reopening ceremony on Saturday, December 7th, followed by the first Mass on December 8th.
WRED-TV is back again with another installment of SportsWire, where we discuss all things St. John's athletics. Ashlyn and Cristal, the floor is yours.
Hello, Johnnies, and welcome to the November issue of SportsWire, your home for the Red Storm's sporting reports. I'm Ashlyn Mulligan.
I'm Cristal Rosa-Sanchez, and as the leaves turn yellow and orange here in New York, more and more students are donning red in support of the Red Storm as we transition from fall sports to winter sports, which began earlier this month.
I know tip-off this past October and Quavo's epic performance is getting us excited for the basketball season ahead of us, but before we talk about the future of the basketball team, let's quickly recap the fall seasons.
Both the men and the women's soccer teams have wrapped up their regular seasons, with women's soccer beating Creighton 1-0 in their final game. Men's soccer crushed the City College of New York 7-1 with a notable hat trick from Brady Geho. Men's soccer has the potential for a division championship beginning with a game against Seton Hall, whom the team has defeated earlier this season. They are the 3rd seed in the Big East tournament, which will begin right at our own Belsom Stadium.
The golf team also ended their fall season in Hawaii at the Kapolei Invitational, the first time the team has left the continental states in over a decade. The team scored 12th overall, and standout senior Pei Sheng Chen claimed 7th place out of 87 golfers on the field, achieving 12 birdies over 3 rounds of play.
So as these seasons are coming to an end, we all know what is coming next: basketball. After 2 successful preseason games against Rutgers and Townsend, St. John's officially opened their 2024 to 2025 basketball season against Fordham at Carnesecca Arena on November 4th.
WRED-TV covered the game, so let's check out some highlights, commentated by Nico Fret and Anthony Lagakis.
Hi, I'm AJ Lagakis.
And I'm Nico Fret.
And this was the home and season opener for the St. John's Red Storm against the Fordham Rams.
As tip-off here underway with Ejiofor ready to take it. And it's off, and Ejiofor wins the tip, kicks it out over to Lewis. Lewis over to Scott out of North Texas. Back to Wilcher. Wilcher over to Zuby Ejiofor. Back to Lewis in the corner. Lewis fakes in to drive, but pulls it back. Pulls up, shoots 3, and knocks it down. In this clip, we see Patino coaching his team from the sidelines. Patino yelling at his team, irate, emphasizing defense, because that's what he's done when he's coached in the past with his other teams. But his team is just not understanding what to do on the court, and he's beside himself.
And speaking of defense, RJ Lewis Jr. with the rebound as he drives up fast up the court and pushes forward for 2. Nice off the backboard shot there. Another defensive rebound that shoots out to Aaron Scott. He gets over to Davon Smith. Back up to the perimeter. And he looks for a pass, gets it over to Aaron Scott. Over to Vince Iwuchukwu, who gets it cross court over to Simeon Wilcher. Back up to Aaron Scott behind the perimeter. He drives, fakes a shot, spins, and knocks it in for 2.
In this clip, we see a great defense displayed by St. John's as Richmond puts up court over to Aaron Scott, and Wilcher with the finish off the backboard. Wilcher, leading scorer of the game with 17 points, sophomore guard, utilizing his minutes off the bench, great production.
And This loose ball goes out to Davon Smith, who recovers, spins, and drives up. Over to Vinci Wuchuku, who slams it down for an emphatic 2 points as he gets back quickly to play some defense. This play, Kadari Richmond behind the back, nice move. And then he goes, nice Euro, and off the backboard and in. Lays it up easily.
As we see Richmond here again in the corner for 3 and knocks it down.
And that's Kadari Richmond, the transfer out of Seton Hall University. A highly sought-after transfer that St. John's was able to grab under Rick Pitino, pointing for some audibles, trying to get some defensive credibility as he slams it down off the backboard. Beautiful play as R.J. Lewis comes out with the ball. And he sidesteps and knocks it down for 2 points. That was R.J. Lewis Jr.
As we see here, a fast break over to Lewis, to Davon Smith, taps it out to Ruben Prey for the slam. Ruben Prey utilizing his minutes off the bench, lovely. And that's going to do it here. St. John's wins 92-60, a definitive win against the Rams. They will go to 1-0 on the season.
And just a reminder, or not a reminder, but an update, you can tune into Nico and I's radio show. I am the host of The Hat Trick on WSJU Radio on iHeartRadio. We go live every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. We get an hour of just talking about sports and some other stuff. I'm sure you'll have a blast.
And yeah, just to end here as well, AJ and I, we also broadcast games for St. John's. We called this game against Fordham, and we'll be calling the Kansas State game on December 7th on iHeartRadio. Let's send it back to the studio for more analysis.
The Red Storm is definitely at a turning point heading into this season. The team has 8 new players, including Kadari Richmond, a senior coming from career best records at Seton Hall last year. He was included in both the NABC Division I Player of the Year watch list and the Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year watch list. Given his performance against Fordham, where he got the most playing time with 30 minutes, scored 16 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, dished out 5 assists, and had the most turnovers of any St. John's player, he is definitely one to watch out for.
Speaking of turnovers, Rick Pitino has heavily focused on his team's defense for this season, after last season's lackluster defensive performance. And the season opener reflected that, with the team scoring an overwhelming 20 points from turnovers alone. After the game, Pitino stressed the amount of practice he's been enforcing on man defense and on switching defense. Last year, St. John's struggled with maintaining their lead. In 50% of their losses, they were ahead at halftime but fell short in the second half. This didn't seem to be a problem during the Fordham game, where the Red Storm absolutely exploded after the midpoint, with more fast breaks, more points, and improving upon all of their scoring metrics.
While it's still early in the season, St. John's is definitely giving us something to be hopeful about, with the team seemingly in stride with one another on the court. Tickets are still on sale at redstormtickets.com, so it's not too late to reserve your spot. That's all for this edition of SportsWire. I'm Ashlyn Mulligan.
And I'm Cristal Rosa-Sanchez. See you next time.
Go Johnnies!
Wow, it's great to hear athletics taking over in Queens. Now that the Staten Island folks have joined us here, let's see how they feel about adjusting to the new campus. I'm Giovanna Guerrero, joined by Mikey Santoro in the studio, a former Staten Island Campus student. Mikey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
How are you doing? I'm Mikey Santoro, formerly of the Staten Island Campus. When me and my fellow Islanders learned we had no choice but to move to Queens to finish our degrees, let's just say culture shock was an understatement. People like to yap about how Staten Island barely counts as New York, but even then I had no idea just how different things here were. It's been no easy task acclimating to this whole new world, and that's why I'm here to talk to you about it today.
So I do have some questions for you. First one being, what was it like going from a commuter to a dormer?
Well, one thing I have to say is it makes getting to class a lot easier. Back in my freshman year, I used to have to wake up at 6 a.m. and take 2 buses to get to a 9:05. Now that I'm a senior, I'm not stupid enough to register for a 9 a.m. class. But in all seriousness, though, it really does make it a lot easier being able to get up an hour before class begins.
What do you think of the various scope of the campus activities?
The celebrations before basketball games alone are bigger than anything on Staten Island. I remember my second week here, I went to a fair. They had a mechanical surfboard. The objective was to stay on it and keep your balance as it shakes around. Kind of like the mechanical bull I once went flying off of back on Staten Island. I also know that you guys have Pia Greek here as well, which is good because the more things change, the more they also stay the same.
How difficult is it balancing schoolwork with school life?
I have a jam-packed schedule sometimes. I have classes, of course. Then there's homeworks, projects, exams, trying to keep up with an extracurricular because you gotta boost that resume, trying to go to the gym on a semi-regular basis, while also trying to have time to party and have a social life, not to mention have the occasional me time. You're the only you that you got after all.
Finally, have you had any difficulty acclimating with all these new students?
Honestly, yeah. Everything here has its own standard and everything's pre-established. Everybody already seems to know each other and have their own norms, and it clearly feels like they don't want to risk it changing by having to account for all these new people that they have no choice but to share their campus with. Luckily, I managed to meet some good people who've been nothing but supportive. But a good man once told me that to achieve the future I want, I needed to carve my own path. Don't try to make people your people. Instead, just keep doing you, and eventually your people will come to you.
Thank you so much, Mikey. You gave us all insights on what it's like to transition from being a Staten Island student to a Queens dormer. Back to Caitlyn and Shailah.
Here we are back with another installment of our very own Entertainment Corner, where we bring you the latest news on everything entertainment related.
Comic books are back in the mainstream. Not the movies or the TV shows based on comics, but actual comics. Starting in October this year, DC has launched their Absolute line of comics, which are new reimagining of iconic superheroes for a modern generation of readers to get into. So far, we have Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. But Batman has been a massive hit. The book sold out almost immediately, being read even by people who don't normally read. In recent years, the genre has been slowly declining in quality and sales as prioritizing their adaptation has taken precedence. Absolute Superman #1 has also sold out this month and is getting a second orientation of its own in December.
Last month, we talked about upcoming movies, but there are a new batch just in time for the holiday season. From holiday cheer to action-packed epics, here's what's in store.
First up, let's talk about Red 1, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Chris Evans. This film promises an action-adventure take on the holiday season, mixing humor and thrills as Evans and Johnson team up in a story that's part holiday classic, part explosive fun. Look out for some big laughs, big stunts, and big hearts in this one. It's set to hit theaters just in time for the holidays on November 15th.
Looking for more action? Carry On stars Taron Egerton as an airport security officer who gets wrapped up in a high-stakes plot after a mysterious traveler bribes him. Known for his role in Kingsman, Egerton is no stranger to action, so expect plenty of suspense, high energy, and thrilling chases all wrapped up into one. This one hits Netflix on December 13th.
Next on our list is Your Quarterly Invited, a rom-com with a twist starring Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. This film follows an estranged couple forced to come together to plan their daughter's wedding. Expect laughs, loves, and the chaotic charm Ferrell and Witherspoon bring to the screen. Together, an invitation you won't want to decline, coming to Amazon Prime Video on January 30th.
Another holiday-themed film heading our way is Dear Santa. Jack Black takes the lead in this heartfelt comedy as Satan himself, who accidentally intercepts a child's letter to Santa, as he takes on the role of fulfilling the child's wishes in exchange for the child's soul, who ends up bringing out Satan's good side. Check it out to see if Jack Black steals the soul of an innocent child, or if goodness of mankind triumphs over evil. You can find this movie on Paramount Plus on November 25th.
Well, that's it for our November issue of Eye of the Storm. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We appreciate all of our viewers. If you want to see more of us, please subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and connect with us on LinkedIn. We won't bite. I'm Caitlyn Oviedo.
And I'm Shailah Ramos. See you soon.